Give us a show for the ages. The 2021 T-Mobile Home Run Derby, Monday at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I will bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, the Scripps National Spelling Bee is Today, and Kevin Nash, the host, tells us why it means so much to one particular group of Americans. So follow and listen on your favorite podcast app.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you going to miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Well, I can't tell you the last time I've been this amped up for a Cincinnati Reds series, and it's a big one tonight. The Cincinnati Reds, after sweeping the Chicago Cubs at Great American Ballpark, they followed it up with the road series victory over the Kansas City Royals, a series that honestly should have been theirs, and we'll talk about that coming up here in a moment. But regardless, the series was theirs, but it should have been a sweep. They take 2 of 3 from the Royals, and it sets up this huge showdown with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers, who of course are sitting atop the NL Central. 52-36 is the record of the Milwaukee Brewers with a plus 49 run differential. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but guess what? 7-3 of their last 10 is also the same streak that the Cincinnati Reds are on. The Reds 45-41, 6 games back in the division, getting set to take on the Brewers in game 1 of a 4-game series as we close out the first half of the regular season. Kev, first of all, there's a lot to digest there. The fact that the Reds are in the thick of it when it comes to this playoff push right now. But we're heading into our final series of the first half of the regular season. This summer is flying by. It's already July 8th. What the hell?
Fast-moving summer, man. And the thing about baseball is we're about to come up on the halfway point with the All-Star break and everything like that. But this is an important series for the Reds. Not only they had the Brewers coming up, they got the Brewers coming out of the All-Star break. So this is do or die. I mean, I know they've been playing a lot of good baseball right now, but this is definitely do or die. You cannot go out here and get swept and then come back and get swept again, because if you do that, it's lights out.
Yeah, and the one thing that the Reds have actually been is lights out against their division. In fact, they are rolling right now. And you look at the way, it's funny when you look at how this team has struggled, honestly, against the rest of, or not really the rest of Major League Baseball, but a lot of those West Coast teams. The Cincinnati Reds against the NL West, which, again, one of the best divisions in baseball. The NL West features the Giants, the Dodgers, Padres, Rockies, Diamondbacks, what have you. But the Reds have only won 10 games and they've lost 20 against the NL West. They're 35-21 against the rest of Major League Baseball. So if you take out the NL West and you look at who the Reds are against everybody else, they're 35-20. They're 35-21. That's one hell of a record to have against the rest of Major League Baseball. Luckily, the Reds play in the Central and not the West, because my goodness. But look, the reality is that this team could have been dead and buried at this point. Just a week ago, they were 8.5 back. Now they're only 6 games back, which is funny because they've only made up 2.5 games. But that sets up perfectly for heading into this 7-game series. Technically, it's like a minor league series right now. But you have 4 with the Brewers at Milwaukee. You just touched on it. Go into the All-Star break, come back. You have the Brewers waiting for you again for 3, but this time on your home field. The reason this stretch is so important, in fact, the whole season comes down to these next 7 games. The whole season comes down to these next 7 games. For one, it's positioning within the standings, positioning within the NL Central. Of course, you want momentum to take into the break and then come out with, but it really, the season, the one date that I keep looking at is that July 30th date, and that's the trade deadline. So this series is so important. This 7-game stretch is so important because I think right now, whatever plan that the front office has with Nick Krall and the Castellinis, whatever their plan is for how they want to approach this trade deadline, I think they have a couple plans, and every plan is dictated by the result of these next 7 games. So I believe that's going to be the case. They're 6 games back now. Let's say they split with the Brewers. They would make up 2 games. They would make up a game or will they just keep them right where they are right now? How would that?
Right where they are.
So keep them at 6. They need to. The Reds need to at least move ground. They need to make ground here. I think they at least need to move up one game.
Right.
3 or 4 from the Brewers is how you're going to be able to do that. I guess you need at least need 2. Definitely need 3 if you want to take some serious momentum. I think you avoid catastrophe by splitting. Mm-hmm. You feel good about 3, and my goodness, you feel like the division's yours if you take 4, right? Heading into the break. But if they go 1-3 on the road and then they come back and go 1-2 against the Brewers, you're probably sitting at 8-9 back at that point. At that point now, it's probably opening up the floodgates for what the front office probably really wants to do, and that's move some pieces. But if all of a sudden the Reds over the next 7 games close the gap to they're within 3 games of the division, and you have a deadline to add a good player or 2 to multiple positions, most notably the bullpen, hopefully, now all of a sudden it's a different ball game. The fans, it's been an emotional up and down roller coaster. One week I hate this team, the next week I'm back in love with them. I've stayed in love with them after this Royal series and after the sweep of the Cubs. But this is fun. We haven't had this type of season in quite some time. I know they made the playoffs last year, but there was nothing normal about last year's season. It's like you were excited to see them in the thick of things down the stretch, but overall we never got a true enjoyment from last year, even when they did make the playoffs. This just seems more real. It's a regular first half of the season, and hopefully they take that momentum into the All-Star break. But I can't tell you the last time I felt this way about a Red series, especially in my time working here. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I got a question for you and everybody watching on Facebook. If I told you that the Reds could sweep and get swept by the Brewers in the 4 and the 3, which way would you want it? Would you want to get swept these 4 going into the All-Star break and then win the 3 coming out, or vice versa?
I think right now, the most important game, I keep saying it's a very important 7-game stretch, but the first 4 are about taking momentum into the break. The first 3 coming out of the All-Star break are going to dictate the direction that this team goes in. Look, I don't want them to get swept at all, but you get swept now, you're 10 games back, it's done. Even if you're 10 games back and then you come out and you make up 3 and get back to 7 games back, you're not doing yourself any favors by going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, or in this situation, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, or 4 steps back, 3 steps, whatever the hell. Point is, you're not going anywhere fast. Bottom line is split at the very least.
Right.
But I do think that the Reds are capable of taking 3 or 4. The Brewers are interesting. They win. They're just more consistent than the Reds, but they have deficiencies. They're not a strong offensive unit from top to bottom. The Reds are more balanced offensively.
Yeah, this ain't the 2000 Yankees you dealing with.
So it's just one of those where the difference is when you look at the run support for the Brewers, the run support that they provide for their pitchers protect it. The Reds pitchers don't protect the run support that they get, and that's the problem. So that brings me to this talking point here. I know the Reds just took 2 or 3 from the Royals, and that's obviously a good thing. You want to win series, especially on the road. The Reds have been bad on the road for so long. But the game that I still think is going to really come back to haunt the Reds, keep in mind, they're 6 games back right now. They should be 5 games back. They had no business losing that game. What is today? Thursday? Yeah. So 2 nights ago. So on Tuesday night, when they lost that 1-run game in extras, 7-6, actually didn't get to go to extras. The Reds lost, 4 runs scored in the bottom of the ninth. The Reds had a 2-run significant lead heading into the front there, into the ninth. I'm sorry, I got distracted with my computer making this buzzing sound at me. So let me turn that volume off, and now we're off and rolling. The problem I have with those losses happen. You play 162 games. The Reds will lose more games moving forward, okay? No one's expecting them to run the table by any means. But there's losing games like 7-2 and 8-3 and 8-4 and stuff like that, Kev, like where, you got hit pretty hard, but you couldn't put enough runs on the board but when you have a lead heading into the ninth, and you are in the thick of things right now as far as positioning yourselves heading into the All-Star break, and you're facing a team that's 36-49. It's not a very good team right now. Bottom line is that the Reds shouldn't lose that game. I know they're lucky they took 2 or 3 from the Royals. Why am I focusing on that game? Because you could lose. You're allowed to lose games. You're not going to have it every night. Your lineup's not going to produce runs every single night. Your rotation's going to have off nights. Your bullpen, the Reds are a prime example of that, will have an off night. But what you cannot lose is games that you have won.
Yeah.
You can lose games, but you can't lose games that you have in the bag, because that game right there is one that I look at as could come back to haunt the Reds when it's all said and done. I mean, right now we might get excited if the Reds cut it to 4 games back. And I know this sounds weird, but 3 games back makes you sleep at night. 4 games makes you feel a little excited, right? Like I just feel like that game can come back to haunt them. They're not winning the wild card. they're only going to make the playoffs by winning this division. In this Royals game, I'm telling you, I don't know why, but that loss felt bigger than just a loss in the middle of a hot streak of the Reds. That loss felt more significant because that's just a game that they had in the bag. There's no excuse why that game should not have belonged to the Reds. There's a reason yesterday coming out of the rain delay that those runs that the Reds put up on the board coming out of that delay were so big because it just helped you breathe a little bit because the Reds were up 3-2. And I was like, I don't feel good about coming back without Sonny Gray, which big news about Sonny Gray's health situation. We'll talk about that in a moment. But just that run support really kind of obviously put the Reds in position to feel better. The other thing is, I think the reason that the Reds have won all these games, the Reds led that entire game against the Royals until that walk-off, hit at the end. That the Reds led the whole way. They only seem to win if they're trailing in games. And their last 6 wins have all coming from behind. They were behind yesterday, came back and won. They were behind in game 1 against the Royals, came from behind. They were behind in every game against the Cubs, came back and won. For whatever reason, this team just ticks different when they come from behind. It's like when they have the lead, all of a sudden they kind of tighten up a bit. I don't know what it is. Very strange. Not trying to over dissect it. The bottom line is the Reds are 44-41. They're 45-41. They're 6 games back of the NL Central. The team that they're trailing, the Milwaukee Brewers, who they swept the Brewers the last time these two teams played. And right now the Reds would love to continue and pick up where they left off against the Brewers just a few weeks ago. Biggest series of the season for the Reds thus far. It's honestly the biggest series that the Reds have had in, I'd say, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, since the Dusty Baker time that was here. Maybe that first half of the season run with Brian Price, but even then, I don't think there was ever a series that we looked at and said, "Oh, this is crucial." This one is crucial because it's not just about playoff positioning; it's about the direction that the franchise goes in as the trade deadline looms. And there's no secret as to why the Thunder just kind of rolled in the background. I know you may not have heard it, but we did. Bottom line is, a storm is coming. That is for sure. But I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Off yesterday due to Reds baseball. Reds back at it tonight. Again, game 1 against the Brewers, 8:10 the first pitch. The Reds play at 8:10 tonight, 8:10 tomorrow night, 7:15 on Saturday, and then 2:10 on Sunday, all on the road, all right here on the home of the Reds, 1410 Wing AM. But yeah, what's even more unique, like you touched on, they're coming out of the break. It's not just that this 4-game stretch with the Brewers heading into the break, but I don't know how scheduling works. It's not like whoever made the schedule knew that these two teams were going to be in this position. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I think they knew what they were doing when they built the schedule." No,
I'm saying March Madness.
Yeah, it's not like where they strategically placed Duke and North Carolina on opposite ends of the bracket, hoping that I mean, the March Madness gods are, actually, who do the March Madness gods pray to? That doesn't make any sense. But the people, the committee, they pray to the college basketball gods. I was just like, the college basketball gods pray. No, wait, who do they pray to? No, the college basketball committee and March Madness committee, whatever you want to call them, they pray to the college basketball gods that by separating Duke and North Carolina on opposite sides, that they will clash in the national championship game, right? Same thing if we go to this 12-team playoff. Don't act like if they have a chance to keep, and this would mean Michigan becoming a real football team again, a real football school again, but don't act like they wouldn't try to keep Michigan and Ohio State apart and create some kind of weird path to get to the national championship game, right? Let's not act like that's not going to be a consideration when it's all said and done. It's actually one of the few division games that you would like to see repeated in the college football playoff, right? Like we've already seen Georgia and Alabama in the national championship, and I'm getting way off topic here, but the point is, when this schedule came together, nobody knew that the Brewers and Reds would be battling it out at the top. And I think we knew that the Cubs were going to take a step back. I don't think anyone anticipated that the Cubs were going to be this bad. Like the Cubs are rivaling the Pirates that bad, and the roster is significantly better and way more expensive than the Pirates. You can't be playing. The Pirates feel like they got to steal. Man, we're playing last place ball, and we only spent $40 million. The Cubs spent $98 million, and they're playing Pirates ball. I'd say we got more bang for our buck. I mean, that's basically how they feel. Cubs are going to be sellers. I don't think we anticipated the Cubs to be this bad. The Cardinals, I think we expected them to be a little bit better. They're not consistent enough right now. We bashed the Reds, but I'm telling you, they're in a better position than the Cubs and the Cardinals as we currently sit here right now. And the reason I didn't put the Pirates in that, because we know that they're in a better position than them, but they're in a better position than the Cubs and the Cardinals because the Reds, with all the flaws that we talk about with them. All right. I like to criticize David Bell. The bullpen's the worst in baseball. Eugenio Suarez has just been hot garbage, right? Like, you look at the fact that's not fair to say. I've been trying to change my ways with using certain words about actual other human beings instead of just, these athletes that I think that they're not real. He has not been very good. Joey Votto has been injured a lot, but he's actually played his best stretch of baseball right here, at least offensively. And then Suarez has been bad defensively. Moustakas was supposed to be one of the big additions to this lineup when he was added last year. He's been beaten up by injuries pretty much both years that he's been here. The Reds have never been able to really capitalize on that. There's so many reasons to look at this team, and they don't have a shortstop, a true shortstop. There's so many things that we look at this team and say, my goodness, this ownership is so bad. Well, I don't think anyone will say that the ownership is better than the Cardinals and the Cubs, but yet here the Reds are in better position than those two franchises heading into the break and the deadline. And yet all we do is talk about the Reds ownership as if it's Mike Brown and company. They're nowhere close to being Mike Brown and company. I mean, they wouldn't even have Mike Brown over for company. I mean, that's how embarrassingly bad Mike Brown is compared to the Castellini. So let's take our foot off of let's bash the Castellini bus, because I think they don't deserve a lot of credit, but I don't think they deserve as much criticism as what they're getting. But Kev, right now as we sit here on July 8th, that criticism, I ain't going to be holding people back anymore, depending on what decisions they make at the trade deadline coming up. I like that they're getting healthier. I like that you're going to get Michael Lorenzen back, TJ Antone back. I like the fact that Hembree and these guys have been big. They've stepped up big. But you can't look at that and just say, oh, you know what? We're good. These guys are good. The ownership has to say, man, we're on a tight window now. Votto has this might be the last year of productive Votto at all. We have Castellanos. We don't know. We may not be able to afford him moving forward. We may not have him moving forward. We already missed an opportunity with Bauer. Let's not miss an opportunity with Castellanos. Let's go all in at this deadline. You could worry about replenishing the farm system later. You only get a few opportunities to not just make the playoffs, but win your division. I wouldn't say, like, Kev, if they were only fighting for a wild card, I wouldn't be in favor of them going all in. The reason I say that is I'm not in favor of a team going all in to get to a one-game wild card, because now you're losing prospects and you're depleting your farm system for one game. And if you're fighting for that one game, you're probably not that good to begin with. So, but if you're talking about a chance to win your division, where you can have home field advantage in a full 7-game series, that's a lot different, Kev. That's a lot different, because even if you don't win that, you might have lost a couple key prospects, but now we're talking about just the fact that you put all those asses in those seats at Great America and you made the city feel alive again.
Right.
That's a bigger deal than a one-game wild card. The Reds aren't winning the wild card. They're going to win this division if they make the playoffs. It's going to be by winning the division. I think that's why they have to go all in. Their window is tight. It's not like they're winning with all young players. They're winning because of Castellanos, who may not be here in a year. They're winning, Sonny Gray, who's on the 10-day injured list right now, by the way. We'll talk about that, but he's not going to be here much longer. You don't know what the future holds take advantage of what you have now, add some talent, go all in, put yourself in debt if you have to, figure out the rest later. But I'm so tired of always planning for the future that you forget to win now. And that's the one thing I hope that the Reds realize as we sit here today.
With 7 games, if you win 3, you're mad. But if you win 4, you're happy. So that's how tight this is. That's how important this is. Look, man, I'm not picking them to win 4 of the next 7, but if they do, and they're definitely capable of doing, they're capable of doing more than that, to be perfectly honest. But what is the sweet spot? Is 3 the sweet spot, like where you're satisfied, like, all right, it's okay, or is it 4?
As far as this next 7?
Next 7, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about. Are you talking about a playoff series? Are you talking about this?
No.
Okay.
This
I thought you were talking about, because the importance of getting that 7-game. He said 3, you're mad, 4, you're happy. I'm like, well, that was a duh statement, Kev. But no, you mean in the 7-game stretch with the Brewers coming. Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. 3. If you play bad ball over the next 7 games and you find yourself only 6 games back, it could have gone a lot worse. But here's who they have coming up after the Brewers, Kev. After that, they have the Mets. So let's say that you survive the Brewers and you stay 6 games back and you don't drop back anymore. You would have loved to move up. But that Mets series is going to be tough. You're going to take 0 momentum. If you don't make up any ground in these next 7 games, I don't care if you win your last 2 games against the Brewers and you're still 6 games back you're not going to have momentum heading into that Mets series. Right. And then you got the Cardinals at home right after that. And then you got the Cubs for 4. And then you got the Mets again. this is July it's the best and worst month for the Reds, because if they are going to impress, right now they're dancing for their owners, they are trying to impress their owners. And I'm sorry, but if they don't look impressive enough, if they don't look like a team that's on the brink, that team, that ownership's not going to invest into them. And I know people are like, well, look how great they've been right now. I don't care about right now. We've seen how quickly things turn around. A week ago, they were 8.5 games back. And we feel like, oh man, they've totally flipped that switch. Well, they're still 6 games back. It's not like they've come all the way back to within a game or two. By the way, the Reds had cut it to within 2 games of the division 3 weeks ago. A week later, they're 8.5 back. A week later, they're 6 back. What are we going to be saying a week from now? Well, we'll be saying, hey, the Reds are starting the second half of the season, but what will the standings look like? Do we? Yeah, we do. 457-9464. We'll throw out the number. We don't do that often. We'll try to get some play there as we have our one phone line ready to go for you. So race to the phone lines, would you? But we are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. The Justin Kinner Show on Facebook. Like, subscribe there. You can watch the show daily from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. Not just watch, but interact. Jump in on the conversation. We'll pull your chat or your comments into the show. You'll get to show off your Facebook profile picture to everybody, so make sure you look pretty. And there we go. So and on YouTube, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, like and subscribe to that as well, because you can also interact that way. Let's start things off on Facebook. Justin Nichols says, a nice polo, go Raiders. Well, thank you. I think Kevin and I do a great job. We do a better job of any other media in town of making sure we represent Wright State. So I will say that. We don't only wait for them to make the NCAA tournament to decide that we want to start covering the Raiders. We actually make sure we give them some love all year long, right? No need to throw shade at people so early in the day. Justin, what is your problem? Jason Pruitt on Facebook. Trade deadline, I'm sure we pick up another outfielder instead of bullpen help. Yes, outfield, which they don't need. Right? I think that's what he's kind of insinuating, that the Reds will go get a piece that we don't really need at this point. Trevor Story, look, I love the talk out there potentially going to get a Trevor Story, but let's be honest. I mean, this team's issue right now is not offense, but I keep doing that thing where I fall in love with offense. He provides that defense. He's an all-star shortstop. I mean, that's going to, button them up defensively. Mm-hmm. But right now, the Reds are in the thick of it without a shortstop. I would continue. You're going to be weak at some area. You're not going to lose a World Series because you don't have a shortstop. You will lose a World Series, or you won't miss the playoffs because you don't have a shortstop. You will miss the playoffs if you keep up this crap pitching parade that they keep throwing out there on a regular basis. Justin says, definitely agree. Justin, Reds management is way better. Talking about the situation between the Reds management and the Bengals front office. David M., now we're on YouTube. He says, if the Reds don't upgrade the bullpen, the season is over, period. The Royals' loss reminds all fans all fans need to look forward to. Okay, if you're gonna, I can't read all this stuff. I mean, I'm trying to help you guys out with fixing your mistakes here. But the Royals' loss remains all fans need to look to proof a playoff spot for success. I don't know what he's trying to say. Dennis, you comment regularly. I don't mean to be rude to you, but I don't understand what you just said at all. Scott Campbell, there's still room on this bandwagon because I'm driving the bus. Let's go Reds. Scott's been big on the Reds for a while. Ann Anderson says, just enjoying Reds and Dragons baseball. Reds on TV and Dragons on the radio. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. Jake Whiting, Sonny Gray to the IL. Hopefully it's a phantom IL visit, and Nick Krall called up Santion for bullpen help. Hopefully. This is a playoff series, folks. I know that sounds crazy. It's July, but it's a playoff series. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like the college football playoff. Everyone acts like the college football playoff only starts when the 4 teams are announced. No, when the Buckeyes lost to Purdue, that was a playoff game you lost because that kept you out of the playoffs. You got eliminated when Ohio State lost. When they lost to Iowa the year before, that was a playoff loss. That's kind of what's going on right here. This is a playoff series for the Reds. You can't even talk about if the Reds choke in these types of series. They're not meant for the big stage of the actual playoffs when we get to that point. Like with Ohio State that year. If you're not physically and mentally built to beat a Purdue on the road, you weren't mentally and physically built to win a playoff game had you been selected that year. Same thing the year before with Iowa, with JT Barrett threw the pick 6 on the very first play. What?
You just can't let it go.
I cannot let it go. Hey, we're going to have Hal McCoy, the Hall of Famer. He's going to join us at 4 o'clock. Excited to hear his thoughts on this streaking Reds team as we head into this big series with the Brewers, which you can catch right here tonight on Dayton's Home of the Reds, 1410 at Wing AM. We have a little over-under coming your way. Kev Nash brings that to us next. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a high near 85. Tonight will also be mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a low near 63. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's Ultimate Unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
Trade Pros. Ferguson is committed to making business with us the easiest part of your day. Ferguson.com is designed to help run your business from the office to the job site by making your day-to-day activities easier with 24/7 account access, unmatched online inventory, and on-the-go account management. And with our Pro Plus customer loyalty program, you can earn points with every online purchase, redeemable for merchandise, event tickets, trips, and more. Sign up today at Ferguson.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. Having some starting trouble? We can help you out. Let's start with a free battery test. If you just need a charge, we can help with that too. And if you need a new battery, we've got a wide selection of replacement batteries starting at just $79.99. And we're the only place you can find proven tough Duralast batteries, including Duralast Platinum with AGM and EFB technology. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Get in zone, AutoZone. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2020.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly. Instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
Get in zone, AutoZone. What are you working on today? You could be helping us help customers. June is National Hiring Month, and we're hiring thousands of new AutoZoners to fill manager roles, driver spots, warehouse jobs, and sales team positions. More than half of AutoZone store managers are promoted from within. With more than 7,000 new management opportunities every year, AutoZone provides opportunity to drive your career. Apply today at careers.autozone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
It's time for some straight talk. We've all been there. You have some real work to do, but the free Wi-Fi where you're working isn't going to cut it. It's like leaving the winning runner stranded on third base. Not good. Well, now you can be your own hotspot with Straight Talk's Ultimate Unlimited plan. Get 10 gigs of hotspot data for just $55 a month. All on America's largest, most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
Mattress Firm's 4th of July sale has been extended for a limited time. Shop and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Power your passions for less during Dell's exceptional Black Friday in July event. Enjoy up to $400 off high-performance Dell XPS laptops and desktops, along with next-level Alienware systems, all powered by Intel Core processors. Shop special prices on stunning Dell monitors, top brand electronics and accessories, plus enjoy free shipping on everything. Don't forget to ask for Intel when you call 800 by Dell. That's 800 by Dell.
So, how can I promote my new curbside pickup service?
It's possible with Staples Connect.
I need custom floor decals that'll get noticed, not just walked on.
Also possible. Staples Connect can help your business grow with custom printed sales and marketing materials. Now get $20 off signs, banners, or posters when you spend $75 or more. Explore what's new at your local Staples. Staples Connect, the working and learning store. N731 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/signage for details.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're getting closer and closer to being able to make our announcement on the TBT on WING. I'll have full details for you coming up next week. Last year we did the games remotely from here in the studio. ESPN sent the monitor with the everything hooked up to the TBT location. I can't even remember where it was played last year, but they set the precedent for sports during COVID, right? So the first, I believe so. Yeah. Baseball was about the TBT, the basketball tournament. They were the first sporting league or event that actually went on after everything shut down during COVID. I mean, they were the first ones to implement the very strict testing protocols. I mean, it was cutthroat. It was if one member of your team, you can have all 14 members of your team. I'm throwing out a random number. 14 members of your team test negative, and that 15th person test positive, you're all out. Like, it was cutthroat. There was no, but it was just gone. It really set the tone for what we were expecting moving forward between Major League Baseball, the NHL, the NBA, and the bubble. I mean, it was very interesting. But this year it's back open to fans. Championship rounds July 31st through I think August 3rd at UD Arena, and hopefully the Red Scare and Carmen's Crew will be there. So I thought that Carmen's Crew and Red Scare, Kev, could potentially meet. Like, I thought they would eliminate one another before they got to Dayton. That's not the case. It's setting up the semifinal matchups at UD Arena. So at the Covelli Center in Columbus, Carmen's Crew is the 1 seed, the Red Scare is the 2 seed. I was like, well, I hate that they put them in that same regional, because then, like, I thought you only had one come out of that, but that's not true. That's 1 versus 2 you hope that those 2 teams would square off at UD Arena is what I'm hoping. So that would be pretty sweet.
Oh man, that'd be epic.
We've asked this before. If Red Scare gets to the championship rounds at UD Arena with Kendall Pollard, Kyle Davis and company, Ryan Mike Sellanders, what's
fire marshals?
Are we going
fire marshals?
I mean, look, I don't think fire marshals, I think, trust UD Arena to put 13,000 in there. They do it on a regular basis. Is there 13,000 strong watching TBT?
1,000%.
I think so too, but I feel like it just sounds funny. It's just a little tournament. It's not little tournament to me, but in the eyes of most. But this is why I love it. I know no one cares about Carmen's Crew from a Flyer perspective, but I love the fact that, a team that I grew up watching, like John Diebler, Aaron Kraft, William Buford, those guys, Caleb Wesson is on their team now. Like, that's those are teams a decade apart that now you get to see them overlap. Like, that's what I love about this tournament. That's why I really wish, I'd love to see Chris Wright. I mean, hell, Brian Roberts just announced his retirement. You know how freaking cool, Kev, it would be to see Brian Roberts and Chris Wright play on this Red Scare team with Kendall Pollard and Kyle Davis and Ryan Mike. So you want to talk about, combining, 2 separate decades of Flyers basketball. I mean, my goodness, that would be unreal. But that's why I love the TBT. There's so many different kinds of rosters out there, but my favorite are the alumni teams, because you get the crossovers of different eras of basketball. Eras, we're talking decades, I guess. I mean, it's not going to stretch out that far, but you know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
I love it. And, the team that I root for is Boeheim's Army, and they've actually upgraded their roster a lot they have 2 guys from the overseas elite team on their team now. So,
they've absorbed some of those guys.
Yeah, because the overseas elite team is not going to play this year, but DJ Kennedy and Deontay Kane from, people probably remember that name, from Iowa State. So they're on the Boeheim's Army team now. So my expectations for the team that I'm rooting for have grown immensely with the addition of those 2 top guys. So I'm hopeful that, we get Carmen's Crew, we get the Red Scare and Boeheim's Army there down at UD Arena, and I'm just going to eat my popcorn and enjoy some great basketball.
Yep. Again, the TBT Championship Week will be in Dayton at UD Arena July 31st through August 3rd. And again, you could see the Red Scare, their first game, Carmen's Crew, the Ohio State alumni team, they will play at 9 p.m. Eastern on July 3rd. And then the Red Scare, they will play at 3 p.m. Eastern Saturday, July 24th.
Nice.
So that's just coming up here in a few weeks. And again, Red Scare, the 2 seed, Carmen's Crew, the 1. I'm pretty pumped about that. How good is Floyd Money Mayweather's team?
I don't know. I don't know who's on his team this year. I haven't looked.
It's just all about that's just flaunting money, literally, which not even ripping that, by the way. A lot of reasons to rip Floyd Money Mayweather. That's definitely not one of them. If Kinner had money, if Kinner, actually made the money in radio that people think people make in radio, I'd have Kinner's team out there, And actually, I'd be selfish. I'd play. I would play. I'd be selfish. I'd look like that dude. It was that dude that doesn't look like a basketball player. He killed it.
Getting buckets.
He looked like a poor man Scalabrini. That's who he looked like. That's what he reminded me of. But he's way better than me. But selfishly, I would play. If I had the money to put a team in these babies,
5.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. And he could probably dribble with his left. He could probably, do a left-handed layup, that type of stuff. Okay, all over the place. I'm excited. So the Centerpoint Energy Dayton Air Show, presented by Kroger, is going to be this coming up weekend. It's July 10th and 11th, Dayton International Airport. It's going to feature the return of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, which that's freaking sweet, man. I'm really pumped about that. We have some tickets. For those of you, again, it was unfortunate last year, just like everything. We didn't get to experience that because of COVID, but they're coming back July 10th and 11th this weekend. It's the Centerpoint Energy Dayton Air Show presented by Kroger, July 10th and 11th at the Dayton International Airport. You'll get to have a chance to see, of course, the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. We have, how many tickets we have?
We have 4 pair of tickets.
4 pair of tickets. Yep. Okay, keep it locked in here because at 4 o'clock, when we have Hal McCoy on, before we get to Hal's interview at 4 o'clock, I'll tell you how you can win a pair of those tickets. So I promise you that if you're interested in going to the air show this weekend, the Centerpoint Energy Dayton Air Show, we are giving away some tickets here on the show today. You'll have a chance to come and pick those up. We'll talk about all that coming up at 4. But first, real quick, Scott Campbell, he says, Kinner pulling a Pete Rose, being a player/coach, you bet on it. You bet. You bet.
So you scored in the game with the Globetrotters. Would you be able to score in a TBT game?
I mean, they passed me the ball. But if those players around me knew what they were doing, they wouldn't pass me the ball. I could shoot. I know that much. And I mean, look, the Globetrotters, that was pretty cool. I'm mad that, I'm not skinny now, but this is the best shape I've been in 10 years. I look like Butterbean in them red, white, and blue shorts that they gave me. I mean, you might as well put some big red gloves on me. I look like I had big red shoes. I look like a clown running around out there, looking all big and round and everything like that. So I would kill for another opportunity to do that as in shape Kinner versus out of shape Kinner. But out of shape Kinner could still ball. I had 4 points. I was 2 of 3. And by the way, I know that some of that stuff is scripted, but you can't script the ball leaving my fingertips and going right through the net. Just saying.
Bottoms.
I was going to go for the 3, and I didn't have confidence in I didn't get to warm up, So I took a, little ball fake, get the defender off his feet. He jumped out of the gym, a right-handed dribble, step into it, money.
Mid-range.
Little Chris Paul.
Mid-range.
Little Chris Paul. All right, all over the place. Kev Nash brings us over under.
Kev Nash brings you over under.
All right, starting things off with Major League Baseball and the Cincinnati Reds, Kev.
Yeah, the Reds took 2 of 3 versus the Kansas City Royals. Up next for the Red Legs, a 4-game series versus the Milwaukee Brewers. Over under 1.5 wins for the Reds in the series.
Let me look. First of all, I need to at least take a look at this, to see what's coming up for the Reds as far as the pitching matchups, because that's really going to dictate how this goes. It's all going to come down to the starting pitching for the Reds as far as setting the tone. You don't want to give up a bunch of runs early and then rely on your, for one, you can count on your offense to come back, but to be able to, if you're giving up a lot of runs early, you're not going deep into games, and that's going to be key. Tyler Mahle will be on the mound tonight, Wade Miley tomorrow, and then you have Gutierrez and Castillo. I actually like all of those matchups right there. Now, Peralta's really good for the Brewers as well as Woodruff. Those are two. But the fact that you have Castillo versus Woodruff, I like that. And Gutierrez, I'm a big fan of Gutierrez. I'm actually I think everyone's waiting for the wheels to fall off on that. And you look at the fact that they added, Santillan back to the, replacing Sonny Gray, who's on the IL right now. There are some arms that I think that the Reds kind of fell upon that I think they had expectations for, but I don't think they had this expectations for them. We're going to look back if the Reds make this magnificent run and actually win this division. Yes, we're going to talk about the all-star seasons from Jesse Winker and Castellanos and guys like that. And we're going to look at the hot streak from Joey Votto coming back from injury, but it's going to be guys like Gutierrez. It's going to be, a lot of the guys, as crazy as what we've been talking about the bullpen, but I mean, Hembree and these guys have stepped up big. These aren't the best bullpen guys in baseball. This isn't the best rotation in baseball, but all they have to do, thanks to the run support that the Reds provide, is be average. The rotation's been average this year. I think they need to step it up just a tad. Being healthy helps. And the bullpen, man, they got to step their game up too, which they have over the last 2 weeks. Hopefully they can keep that going. But the over-under, Kev, on the Reds against the Brewers coming up in this 4 games, over-under at 1.5 wins for the Reds in this series. Mm-hmm. I said earlier, at the very least, all they can afford is a sweep. But I think they get the win tonight. They get a win. They're going to win 3 of 4. So I'm going to say the over. Wow. They're winning with Castillo on the mound. They're going to win with Wade Miley on the mound. And then they're going to split between Miley and Gutierrez. I'm worried about tonight. The Brewers, I think. Here's the thing about the Reds. The Reds have dominated the NL Central, but it's still the Reds. But I think what the Reds have done, they've swept the Pirates, the Pirates, but they've swept the Cardinals, Kev, at St. Louis. They've swept the Brewers. They've swept the Cubs. They've swept everyone in the division. And I think that sometimes when you're a team that's hot or looking to get hot, I think you look at the Reds as that team of, okay, good, that's the team that we can get hot on. And I think that's cost the Cardinals. I think it's cost the Cubs. And I think it cost the Brewers the last time. The Brewers are one of the hottest teams in baseball. They get swept by the Reds. Then they go on to win 11 straight after. Why is that? I think it's one of those where the Reds have been the punching bag in the division for over half a decade now. I think that teams are they're trying to get used to seeing that big red C pop up on the schedule and then to feel that angst. Oh, this is a big game.
Right.
I think that tonight you're going to see the Brewers come out, and I think they're going to pile it on I think the Reds lose big tonight, but I do think that they win the next 3. I think they take 3 of 4 from the Brewers. I do. I think that's what it is. I think the teams have been looking at the Reds as just one of the bottom feeder teams. They take their foot off the gas a bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this team's here to play. And sometimes it's very hard to mentally jump back into it. But the Reds will take 3 of 4 from the Brewers. I'm worried about tonight's game, though, but we shall see. But I'm going to take the over on that 1.5.
I'm going to go over as well. I'm going to say the Reds split this series going into the All-Star break, and then that's when the real fun happens for that 3-game series. So I'll say they're going to go over. They're going to split. They're going to get 2 wins in this series.
For those of you live on YouTube and live on Facebook, where are you at right now? The Reds have 4 games to close out the first half of the regular season. Over under 1.5. Over under 1.5 games the Reds take from the Brewers at Milwaukee to close out the first half. Leave it in the comment section for those of you watching on YouTube. Same thing on Facebook. I say they would take 3 of 4. I'm taking the over. Kev said over as well, splitting the series at 2-2. In the comment section, we'll pull your reactions into the show for those of you live on YouTube and Facebook. Over under 1.5 wins for the Reds against the Brewers. Next up, Kev, to the NBA we go. Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight.
Yes, tonight it's going down. The Suns took a 1-game lead with a 118-105 win over the Bucks. But the Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis
Antetokounmpo
returned from his hyperextended knee and played 35 minutes in game 1. So over or under Giannis playing 38 minutes.
How many? Oh, you just said he played 35 minutes. I think right now, like at this point, you're already down 0-1. You risk going down 0-2 tonight. I'm not saying you be reckless and just ignore the fact that he's coming off of a freaking hyperextended knee. I mean, that's unreal. By the way, I said he wouldn't play a game this whole series. Not only did he play game 1, I thought it was like, I felt like when they said he was going to play, I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, this is going to be like Anthony Davis. He's going to run out there just to show himself and then limp off the court. And then that's going to be what the fans needed to see to show that he gave it his all, but he couldn't do it. No, the dude played 35 freaking minutes and he was, the Suns they couldn't stop him. Middleton didn't step up. And a lot of other guys really struggled to be consistent, especially down the stretch when they'd
Drew
cut
Holiday
it.
was terrible.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm going to say the over just because what are you saving them for?
Right.
I get the minute restrictions in the first half of the season, sometimes coming out of the All-Star break. Maybe your team's clinched a playoff spot. You want to do minute restrictions so you don't overwork these guys. But you know why you do those minute restrictions, Kev? To get to this point.
Yep.
So what are you saving them for? I'm going to say over 38 minutes. I think that for the Bucks to have a chance to win at all on the road at Phoenix in front of that college basketball atmosphere, it's unreal, by the way. It was fun watching a finals game, by the way, with that. I got goosebumps a few times. It was one of the first games I've watched since COVID that it was like, oh man, like the fans, they were just hot. That was pretty cool. I'm going to say over because for the Bucks to have a chance to win at Phoenix, they need him. Hell, even in Milwaukee, they need him, but they desperately need him on the road. It'll be interesting to see how the Bucks look tonight. Did they get deflated after losing game one the way they did? They should feel pretty good. They got more out of Giannis than they were expecting, and he's only going to get better as each game goes on. So I'm going to say over.
I'm going to go with the over as well. I'm going to say Giannis gets at least 42 minutes. It was kind of like a tester situation, see what he could do, see how the knee is feeling. Like, okay, I'm able to explode to the rim. I'm able to dunk. I'm able to make plays in transition. I'm able to block shots and everything. The knee held up. I'm feeling good. Like, okay, let me ramp it up a little bit. And something also to watch for in game two is the free throw disparity. The Phoenix Suns were the number one free throw shooting team in the NBA, and they made a ton. I think they went to the line like 23 times, and Milwaukee only went 6 times. So look for that to flip-flop this game. Look for Giannis to be super aggressive. Yeah, he struggles at the free throw line, but I think he's going to be super aggressive to get the Suns in the penalty early. So I'm looking for Giannis to have a big game, playing big minutes tonight. So I'm going with the over as well.
And by the way, the Bucks have no chance, and it has nothing to do with Giannis. That coach, I've never seen a coach that is so he did make 0 adjustments. The Suns, Chris Paul was literally picking them apart at the end. The fact that the coach from the sidelines, that he watched Chris Paul continuously play off the switch until he got the matchup he wanted to take him in isolation, which that's not even Chris Paul's game, but that's how much that he was feeling himself because of how lackluster the defense was, because they figured it out. Chris Paul was one of the smartest point guards in the NBA. He made that adjustment, but you know what you do? You counter that adjustment. No more switching at the top.
Right.
Or, you just mix it up. Maybe you double team him coming off of those switches or just something to give it a different. They did the same thing from the first quarter to the fourth, and then they wondered why at the end, after watching Monty Williams and everyone go through all those changes, it's no damn wonder. So even if Giannis can average 50 a game and Middleton can average 20 and Drew Holiday, if the coaching doesn't improve for the Bucks, they're not winning this series.
Yeah, not to get too nerdy, but the Suns, they're not a 3-point shooting team. They shoot 2s and
go under.
Yeah, go under the screen. I know in today's modern NBA, it's an auto switch because it's quicker to get to the shooters when you auto switch and everything like that. Well, they don't have a ton of great shooters, and they don't shoot the 3 ball a lot. So you want to be under the screen so you can contest that 2-point shot because that's where they're trying to go to. They're trying to
being nerdy. That's called going second man. Got to go over the top,
Yeah, man. So, obviously Coach Bud knows more about basketball than us.
Third man. I'm getting it all wrong. Whatever.
I worry about that, though.
All right. Real quick, by the way, because we did the over-under. See, I tried to sound smart and I butchered it. It was not second man. It's third man. Whatever. Don't matter. Bottom line is just go underneath the damn screen. It ain't going to be real quick. So we talked about the Reds against the Brewers. 4-game series to close out the first half of the regular season. We threw out over-under 1.5 games, the Reds in this series against the Brewers. I said they take 3 of 4, so I took the over. Kev took the over as well, as he thinks they'll split. We're getting some good bite here on Facebook and YouTube, Kev, so let's go to it real quick. Scott Campbell on YouTube says over, the Reds sweep the Brewers in Milwaukee. Oofa. By the way, Scott, if you're right, hallelujah. That's all I got to say. Jake Whiting says over, bet the house. So a lot of optimistic Reds fans, that they're setting you up to break your heart, guys. I like people to be more less optimistic because it seems like that's when the Reds play their best. When we start counting on them to win, you can count on them to lose at that point. Anthony Bauer says over 2 games. Big question, over under 3.5 games over the next 7. Look at Anthony trying to hijack Kev Nash, brings this over under. Give it time. Give it time. The Wolf on YouTube says, unfortunately, I think the Rojas split this series with the Brew Crew. Split's not the end of the world.
Split is good. Split is good.
I'll take a split. Trust me. A split is better than taking three. Split is better than obviously dropping 3 or 4. I'll take the split. Absolutely. It's not what we're hoping for. We're hoping for 3 or 4 or 4 or 4. But realistically, it's still a good Brewers team. Splitting with them is pretty dang good. You still make up a game in that situation. David on YouTube says, over, they will split this series. A lot of people jumping in on the splitting of the series. The Wolf now jumping in on YouTube on the basketball side of things. Kevin says, dude, I think he's smoking medical marijuana, talking about the Bucks coach, of course. If he is.
Coach Bud.
Yep, Coach. Yeah, Coach. Nice. Like, Kev, you're on a roll lately. Between that Bengals joke the other day, Coach Bud right here. Coach Bud will not be running in the Olympics this summer. David M. says Milwaukee won't have a choice but to play Giannis more minutes, but all that matters is how aggressive does Milwaukee play. They're too inconsistent in effort. Suns in 5. Ooh. So there you go. Quick finals.
I think the Bucks need to go small a little bit more and throw some zone at them. You know how Phoenix struggled with that zone defense versus the Clippers. I'm not saying come out in the Syracuse 2-3 zone and have your arms just standing there and bouncing all over the place, but like mix it up, like switch it possession to possession or timeout to timeout. Junk it up a little bit. Pick, Chris Paul up from 94 feet out. Make him work, tire him down, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? I may be pulling for the Suns and Chris Paul to win the championship, but ultimately I'm pulling for a great 7-game series. So I'm kind of like wanting some great basketball to end off the NBA season.
Real quick on that too, we talked about how for the Bucks to have a chance that they need to play him a ton. I actually think we should take the under because they played their best. Milwaukee, that's why this argument started about are they better without Giannis? They're not better without Giannis, but sometimes you have to be, if Coach Bud wants to be strategic here, I say you get a little ballsy and maybe go longer stretches of time without him on the floor. I would play him less at the beginning of the game to let Drew Holiday get comfortable, let Chris Middleton get comfortable. I think what happens is when he's on the floor, they defer to him a little bit too much at times when things get tight. Which is why when you see the Bucks go on runs, they get tight because they just drop the ball off to him. He was going in isolation a lot. Yeah, I don't like that. I know he's capable of that, but if you want isolation, go to Chris Middleton. Yes. I know it's not a sexier name, but my God, you got to be smart here. And I think that right now you got to protect Giannis from himself. He's not a bad player. It's just called being smart. I mean, that's like saying, well, Tim Duncan, you had to go to him all the time. Popovich wasn't drawing up plays for Tim Duncan to take you off the dribble from the top of the key.
Right.
That's why they worked it through Tony Parker. They worked it through Manu Ginobili. And the Bucks, if they want to have a chance to win this, I'm going back on what I said earlier. It's not about trying to go through Giannis. It's about letting Giannis be Giannis, like Tim Duncan was Tim Duncan. But let Middleton and Drew Holiday have their opportunity here because that's why the Spurs were always so good. It was the guard play and the ball handling play, of course, of Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Not saying that the Bucks are that, but that needs to be the philosophy here. If the Spurs always tried to make sure that Tim Duncan dominated the game with the ball in his hand and crunch time at all times, they wouldn't have won any of them championships. They have to trust their other guards. That's why the Bucks look so good. A lot of Milwaukee, a lot of big play, a lot of big games out of Milwaukee tonight. Holy smokes! All right, on to the next one. To number 3 we go, Kev. Ohio State football, little running back question.
Yeah. Lots of rumors are coming out of Columbus about running back Steel Chambers switching positions. A photo leaked over the weekend from the Ohio State verified football account, him with the linebacking crew. So if this is actually true about Steel Chambers switching from running back to linebacker, over or under 3 starts for Steel Chambers at linebacker this season?
Starts, I would have to know more of how it's one thing to be, we know for a fact, even reports we've talked with Austin Ward, he has been practicing out of his running back position and, trying to see what he can kind of dabble in a different position on the defensive side. We've seen we've seen players do this in the past, most notably, of course, Braxton Miller going from quarterback to wide receiver and just being a weapon there. With this, I'm going to say under. I think he gets some time at linebacker. I don't think he's the starting linebacker at that. I mean, right now, I think it's going to be, as far as running backs go, Master Teague, Travion Henderson, it's going to be a matter of who's, RB1 and RB2. I think it'll be Master Teague is RB1 to start, but I don't think it'll be long before Travion Henderson moves his way up to RB1. But as far as the, Steel Chambers goes, I think he's going to get opportunities at linebacker. I just don't see him starting at linebacker, Kev. I'd be surprised if that's the case. You're
I'm
going the over. I could tell already.
I'm going over. and you know what? It's the same thing that I've been preaching and banging the drum on, I don't know, the last 2 seasons with Ohio State. Yes, the Buckeyes are great. Yes, the Buckeye defensive line has been great. And in most years, the secondary has been great. But the weak link of the team has continually been the linebackers. And, you know, coming from watching Andy Katzenmoyer and Marcus Freeman and all the other linebackers that came through Ohio State, this crop of linebackers that just recently left the program were average at best. I know P. Warner got drafted. I know that. But the guys behind them came in the class right behind them. So these guys aren't freshmen and sophomores. These dudes are upperclassmen. Some guys are redshirt juniors, and they didn't crack the rotation. They were on the sidelines. They were special teams guys. So obviously there's something that they see a weak link with the guys that they have that they're already scheduled to play linebacker. So there's a reason why they talked to Steel Chambers about making that switch. Obviously, you know, Steel Chambers kind of saw the writing on the wall. We're like, all right, man, we got this hot shot freshman coming in. He's quick, he's fast. You know, I'm going to be third on the running back depth chart. Let me see if I can wiggle my way into this linebacker room, and I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to say Steel Chambers is going to be a starting linebacker for the Buckeyes by season's end.
All right. And then quickly, as we close up over under with Kev Nash, number 4, the Olympics, the Tokyo Games, and COVID-19.
Oh, man,
this is not a good situation.
Not at all. Tokyo Games are just weeks away, but there's a surge in Tokyo with COVID-19 cases. Today, it was announced that no fans will be in the stands at the Tokyo Games because of the Delta variant going on out there in Tokyo and everything like that with COVID. So for the upcoming games, there are 47 events. Over or under 10 events being canceled due to COVID-19?
Man, I want to say under, just because the only reason that they are doing these games is because of, for one, how important they are to get done. Mm-hmm. They knew, I mean, yes, they're having a surge with this variant, of course, yes, but things weren't it wasn't good before.
Right.
So they forced this to begin with before the variant started taking over. And right now, you know, I think they're covering their behinds as far as the no fans thing. So I think that's taken care of. I'm going to say under. I don't think it's going to be a pretty picture, but I do believe that they're going to do everything in their power to get as many of these in as possible. I'm going to say under, but I do believe there will be some events canceled. But I mean, out of the 40 plus 47 events, I mean, if you take 10 of those out, that's a significant number. I mean, obviously health, that's going to be the most important thing, and they're going to make the right decision, but the right decision may not have been to put this in, you know, to force this to happen anyways. Right. So I'm going to say under. I just think that there's too much on the line, that they're, you know, doing every precaution possible to get this in. I think they just want to get to this month and get this in and move on and call it an Olympics is basically where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under as well. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that, you know, not even obviously for the athletes who train their butts off year after year for this opportunity that only comes around once every 4 years, and in this case once every 5 years, but also you got to think about the other people that's involved. You got to think about the cameramen and women, the producers that produce these events, you know, the announcers. Like, these people have put in years of work to get to this spot, and now it's in jeopardy again due to COVID-19. So I feel sorry for everybody involved. And not even that, you got to think about, you know, the economy effects that this has. You know, without having fans in the stands, that means, you know, people probably aren't even going to go. Like, family members aren't going to go. Like, well, why should I go if I can't root you on in the stands and everything like that? So this has a big domino effect on everybody involved. But I'm hopeful that everyone can participate in the games, and all the games can happen, and medals can be won, and more importantly, people can come home safe. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot that we don't know about COVID in general, and now with this new variant out there, there's more that we don't know. So I'm just hopeful right now. I'm just hopeful for a safe games and everyone come back home safely.
All right, and that is over under with Kev Nash.
Is it sponsored yet?
No sponsor.
Okay.
No sponsor. There we go. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Reds Brewers, biggest series in quite some time for your Cincinnati Reds. They are 6 games back in the NL Central. They start a 4-game series with the Brewers tonight, and they want to make that 6-game deficit. They want to cut into that. They would love to cut into that by 4 games. Can it happen? What to expect of this series? We'll get to all of that with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy. He joins us next to kick off hour number 2. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly. Instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/auto navigator.
I need some backup. I got to get these trucks to Tuscaloosa by Tuesday.
Trevor's Trucking needs 3 18-wheeler drivers with commercial licenses ASAP, or his company will stall.
If we don't move the rigs before this weekend, we're going to be in trouble.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Life hacks. What would life be without them? Like using candle wax to loosen a stuck zipper. Here's another life hack. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Taking a Reds game from the Kroger bleachers for some fun in the sun this summer. Offering one of the best values at the ballpark, the Kroger bleachers are a great location to watch the action with family and friends while cheering on your Reds. Plus, you can take advantage of the Kroger meal deal at every game, which includes a hot dog, soft drink, chips, and a snack. Get your tickets today at Reds.com.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City is hiring for warehouse positions in all units, which includes flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, enhanced starting wages, and a $500 signing bonus. Interested candidates should call 937-669-9109 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. Walk-in interviews are strongly encouraged, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9109 for an interview or apply online at jobs.meyer.com. Meyer is the equal opportunity employer.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When the doctor told us about my mom's cancer, it made me feel so helpless until I called the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and spoke with Grace, who answered all of my questions about the disease, treatment options, and cancer-related expenses. Her support and compassion made us feel whole again. Today, I'm calling Grace to let her know my mom is beating cancer. To learn more, visit lls.org.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
We're live. We're local. Wait a minute, struck him out. We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour 2, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. The Centerpoint Energy Dayton Air Show, presented by Kroger, is returning this weekend, July 10th and 11th at the Dayton International Airport. I'll tell you, of course, how you can win a couple of tickets, a free pair of tickets, coming up here immediately following our conversation with our next guest. He's the Hall of Famer, Hal McCoy, and we're talking all things Cincinnati Reds with you here this afternoon. Hal, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Justin. Just listening to planes fly over my house heading for the air show.
That's a good thing. How many times have you made it out to that, Hal?
I never have. I live so close. I live about a mile from the airport. I can pretty much watch it from my backyard.
Well, Hal, if you keep listening after our interview, I'll tell you how you can win a free pair of tickets to, of course, the Centerpoint Energy Dayton Air Show presented by Kroger this weekend. So, Hal, I appreciate your time. Look, I did not think about a week ago, 8.5 back, I just felt like, man, that was fun to at least be cheering on the Reds at least into June instead of being buried by the end of April. But then they come right back. They sweep the Cubs at home. They take 2 or 3 from the Royals, and it sets up this huge 4-game series with the Brewers, technically 7 coming out of the All-Star break. But without talking about this series for say at this point, your overall takeaway of this roller coaster of a season for the Reds to this point, are they good? Are they bad? Who in the hell are the Cincinnati Reds, Hal McCoy?
That's a very good question. It depends on what day you watch them. Actually, they're very, very interesting to watch. That's for sure. But I think they're above average. I think they're a pretty good team. I think their one weakness is still the bullpen, even though through these later series, the bullpen has been very good, except for the game in Kansas City that they let get away. But the hitting's there. The starting pitching has come around. So I think they're a very strong second-place team.
Now, if I was to ask the front office that, with your response, compare it to, let's say you get to be one of the Castellinis or Nick Kroll at this point, when you ask them who this Reds team is in regards to heading into the final couple weeks before the trade deadline, who are the Cincinnati Reds in the big picture scheme of things, in your opinion?
I think, disregarding this upcoming series, judging right now, I think if I'm in the front office, I'm looking for some relief help. I mean, we just talked about the bullpen. I think they're pretty strong everywhere else. They could sure use some arms. Even though the bullpen has been very good lately, out of necessity, David Bell is using them night after night after night. And by the end of the year, these guys aren't going to be able to pick up a nickel. So they definitely need some help in the bullpen. And if the Reds want to stay in contention, I think they have to get some help.
One of my big criticisms, not just to the Reds, but for every team out there who always likes to preach, well, we got to replenish our farm system. We have to, we have to plan ahead. I get that you always want to try and have as much stranglehold on the future as possible. But sometimes when you spend so much time trying to plan for the future, you forget to make moves to win now. And I think right now, when you look at the fact that you're coming on the, the final final stretch of Joey Votto. Who knows what the future of Castellanos is in Cincinnati? I mean, right now things are clicking despite the worst bullpen in baseball, despite not having a shortstop, despite everything that's happened to this team with the injuries, of course, to Moustakas and now Sonny Gray, of course, once again. There's so many reasons why this team should be, hanging out with the Pirates down at the bottom, but yet here they are. I know they're so focused on trying to replenish this farm system, but it drives me nuts when teams when they're so focused on the future that they forget about the now.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the window is there, and the window doesn't stay open very long. They should have learned their lesson back in 2012 and 2013 when they had the window there and they didn't come through. And now they have the same situation. They need a little bit of help, and they have a chance to win this year. And if they don't win in the next couple of years, who knows what's going to happen with all the players that come up for free agent eligibility and things of that order. I think they need to go for it now. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I mentioned this earlier to start the show, that it's one thing if they were just kind of fighting out. Now, they are closer to a wild card spot than they are behind the Brewers. They're 6 games back of the Brewers. They're 4.5 out of the wild card. It's funny, they're closer to the wild card, but I feel like it's impossible to. I mean, they're going to have to beat out either the Dodgers or the Giants. Of course, you look at that the West or whatever. Just they've struggled against that. The West is really, really good. I don't see the Reds being able to surpass the Padres, Dodgers, or any of those teams fighting it out over there for that last wild card spot. So it does come down to the division. You're not basically unloading a lot of pieces to go at a 1-game wild card playoff spot. I mean, we're talking about winning the division, getting a full playoff series with your home field advantage at Great American Ballpark. I just think there's more on the line than just fighting for a 1-game wild card at this point. One thing I didn't mention, Hal, is the fact that there's so much going against the Reds right now with the bullpen and the no shortstop and the injuries, but the division is theirs for the taking. It's about as vulnerable as it has been in over a decade right now, with the Cubs taking a step back and will continue to get worse. The Cardinals are, they're just the middle of the pack team right now, and of course the Pirates are the Pirates, but there's so much right now that is set up that the Reds need to be buyers at this market and not sellers.
I couldn't agree with you more, especially on the wild card situation. The National League West, it's the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres, and whoever wins that division, I believe the other 2 teams will be the wild card team. So in the other 2 divisions, you better win your division or you're not going to make the playoffs. So right now, I agree with you 100%. The Cubs are out of it right now, and the Cardinals are struggling. The Brewers, are the best in the division right now, and that's the team that the Reds have to catch, and that's the team the Reds have to beat out to win the division. In my estimation, and these next 7 games, I think are going to tell the tale. I don't think they can do worse than a split. With these 4 games to stay, they really need to win 3 out of 4. If they only win 1, I think they're in big trouble. So I think these next 4 games are going to tell a whole lot.
Winker has, had some massive numbers this season. Of course, he's one of 2 Reds who will be starting in the outfield for the National League at the All-Star game less than a week from now. But he's kind of struggled recently. I mean, are we putting too much into that? I mean, what's the what is your view of Jesse Winker as we wrap up the first half of this season and head into the second half? I mean, right now everyone looks at the bloated numbers from the entire first half of the season, but when you shrink it down, he has not been swinging the bat well as of late. Can that go into a lot of decision making as far as his future in Cincinnati?
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. He's gone into a real tailspin. He's hitting about 200 since he hit the 3 home runs in St. Louis, and I think he's coming down to more of what he is than what he was. And when you look at the Reds outfield, you have 7 guys out there. I mean, you got a guy like Aquino, who is probably the number 7 outfielder. They have a glut of outfielders, and if they want to make some deals, they probably have a couple of outfielders that they could offer to make a trade. So, that's the only place where they have any surplus, and that's in the outfield. I don't see him trading Winker, and I don't see him, of course, not going to trade Castellanos, but I think anybody else should be available. Nick Senzel will probably be very difficult to trade because he can't stay on the field.
I know we always, when players start playing out of their minds, we right away we're trained by the Reds and really Cincinnati pro sports in general that, oh, well, we can't afford him. We can't afford that. I understand why the Reds weren't even going to try, and luckily they lucked out with this. They didn't try for Trevor Bauer. I mean, it's one thing to pay a lot for a pitcher, but for the Reds to make a pitcher the highest paid pitcher in baseball, that's just not going to happen. But for Nick Castellanos, people are saying he's playing his way out of the market for the Reds. The Reds spent big dollars on Griffey in the 2000s, big dollars on Votto in the 2010s. I mean, we're in this new decade now. I mean, they're going to have to pay somebody. I mean, is Castellanos that guy, or are we heading into the final half of Reds baseball with Nick Castellanos as their outfielder?
Well, they still have the albatross of Joey Votto's contract, which is $25 million a year. They're going to have to be paying that for the next 4 or 5 years. So that is something that I think is going to hold him back from throwing big money at Castellanos. And I think if he tries free agency, if money is what he's looking for, and he says that's not, that he's real happy in Cincinnati, who knows what he might sign for. But, with the year he's having, and if he continues to have this kind of year, when he becomes, he can opt out of his contract. The Dodgers and the Yankees and the big money teams are going to come after him. So we'll see if money means anything to him at all.
We have the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy with us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Other news out of Major League Baseball today, Hal, that I really found interesting, that at first I was a little upset about it, and then the more I thought about it, I'm actually surprised we don't see more of this, just considering the fact that the All-Star game is right there in the middle of the season. This is nothing new, but you look at the fact that Correa and Altuve have chosen to sit out of the All-Star game next week. You have DeGrom, who's also going to be skipping the All-Star game. Are you surprised that we don't see more of this on a year-to-year basis? And is this the start to something more, that we could potentially be seeing more of stars who aren't just opting out due to injury, but they're opting out because they don't want to risk being injured? Altuve today, Hal, said in a very condescending way, I'm doing this I'm picking my team. I'm putting my team first. I'm sitting out because we're in a competitive spot. I'm putting my team first over the All-Star game. I thought that was a very strange response, but do you expect to see more of this moving forward?
Yeah, I do. I think you're going to see more and more of, back in the day, back in my day, way back, the All-Star team was something that, the All-Star game was something that players really look forward to, and we're proud to play. But we're in a new era now, and with the big contracts and the big money, players are thinking more about that than playing an exhibition game. And so I am not surprised at all. And it's too bad, because I think the fans deserve better, but that's the way it is these days.
Hal, last two things here before we let you go. It was announced today, Sonny Gray, 10-day injured list. Of course, he was the starter yesterday. Is this a phantom injury heading into this series, that he wasn't going to pitch in anyway so they can get an extra arm for the bullpen, or is there substance to this injury? No pun intended, considering everything in baseball.
Right. I wondered about that myself when I first saw that he was going on the injured list, because during his post-game interview last night, he made no mention of any kind of injury, and he was so emphatic about how he wanted to finish the year injury-free and that he felt great, and he just wanted to finish the season and help the team. And then all of a sudden this pops up, and there was no mention of any kind of even discomfort while he was pitching last night. So I take that with a little grain of salt, and I think we'll probably see him back right after the 10 days.
All right. He's the Hall of Famer, Hal McCoy, good enough to join us as we head into this huge series. The Reds head into this huge series with the Brewers. Hal, you mentioned at the very least, at the very worst, a split is what they need. They're 6 games back of the Brewers now. What's your gut telling you about the Reds heading into this series with the Brewers? What kind of momentum are we talking here heading into the All-Star break? Are they splitting, taking 3, a sweep? I mean, what do you envision happening here?
Just a wild guess. I'm thinking they're probably going to split. Milwaukee's playing very well, and the Reds are playing well also. Should be a great series. So I'm thinking it's going to be a split, but we shall see. That's why they play the games.
There we go. Hal, this is the most important question you will ever be asked in the history of your career moving forward. Browns and Bengals play twice this year. Browns beat them twice, correct?
That's a silly. You're better than that to ask a question like that. You know it's going to be a sweep by the Browns.
There we go. You had me nervous there for a second. I'm like, uh-oh, did I say something? Browns take both. That's what I like to hear. There we go.
Yes. All right.
Hal, thank you so much. Always look forward to talking to you. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Justin. Take care.
All right, the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy, good enough to join us here on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. And you heard it. The most important takeaway of all of that is that the Browns are beating the Bengals twice.
Wow.
Big series between the Brewers and Reds, but the most important takeaway from that conversation with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy, Browns beating the Bengals twice. Hell, even when the Reds are in a playoff push, it still becomes about the Browns and the Bengals. So there you go. Anyways, good stuff from the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy. I appreciate him giving us some time. But no, in all seriousness, this series with the Brewers is big, very big. Today the theme of the day is split. I mean, this isn't bowling talk. I mean, this is a 4-game series that at the very least the Reds need to come limping out with a split at the very least. But yeah, I truly believe. I'm not putting much. I see people freaking out about this Sonny Gray injury. I find it odd. Hal brought it up in the post game. He was talking about wanting to remain healthy moving forward, and he really focused on the second half. And the next thing you know, he's on the 10-day IL because of something with his ribs. And they bring up Tony Santillan, which, by the way, look, Sonny Gray is not going to make a start for the rest of the first half, not just because he's on the IL, but that's why it makes sense. He pitched yesterday, 4 games coming up. His spot in the rotation would not be up until technically right after the All-Star break, right? So this makes a lot of sense. Don't have his roster spot be wasted by him, who's not going to pitch the rest of the way. Phantom injury, call up Santillan. You have an extra arm, of course, for the bullpen. I like it. Think smarter, not harder. Your 2021 Cincinnati Reds. We'll be back in a moment.
You like it, huh?
I do like it. I like that Hal said the Browns will beat the Bengals twice.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Homestead Feed and Supply is proud to introduce a new product line straight from Texas. Stock Show Secret Products and Flex Appeal. Make your project look the best. Only available at Homestead Feed and Supply. New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a high near 85. Tonight will also be mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms, a low near 63. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ready for renovations? Arts Rental Equipment has the tools you need to make your home, lawn, and garden stand out this year. From brush chippers to cutoff saws, no job is too small or too big. Visit your local Arts store today. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
All right, listen up, people. Sean Avery here. If you enjoy alcohol, chances are at some point you've been hungover, torn up, in the Hurt Locker. Well, here's a little secret. Goodies Hangover Powder relieves pain fast, helps wake you up, and it tastes good. I'm not kidding around. You got a case of ginfluenza, bourbonitis? No problem. Get Goodies Hangover Powder. Real medicine for real hangovers.
Goodies Hangover, aspirin and caffeine in powder form. Place on tongue and take with water. Hangover responsibly. Find it at Dollar General.
Enjoy a powerful business upgrade with Dell Technologies Black Friday and July event. Get amazing savings with up to 50% off high-performance computers and tech built for business, and be able to take your office with you with Windows 10 Pro. Plus, get great offers on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL, and speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today.
Today on Hey Culligan, sustainability and better water. Here's Sam.
Hey Culligan, I'm really into sustainability. My clothes, my utensils, my food. But how do I get more sustainability from my water?
Super question, Sam. And the answer is an always-on drinking water system from Culligan, which helps eliminate the equivalent of 15 billion single-use plastic bottles a year.
Whoa, that's a ton of sustainability.
416,000 tons, Sam, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
What makes the perfect workout? Being able to ride, lift, and stretch in one place with motivating instructors.
Y'all look so good out there, Peloton.
Classes that always work around your busy summer schedule.
Push, Peloton, you got 20 minutes of opportunity on this ride.
Instructor-curated playlists for every mood.
Let's turn it up, come on.
Now what if you had it all? Right at home. The Peloton Bike. Nothing like working out from home. Visit onepeloton.com to learn more.
Mike, I understand you need the part.
Carly's Car Shop demands more engine-fixing horsepower. They need to floor it to find their staff some backup.
We need to finish up that coupe today. It cannot be here for another 2 weeks.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Mattress Firm's 4th of July sale has been extended for a limited time. Shop and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Do you have a home improvement project? Use the right tool for the job and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. Arts has the best selection from power washers and ladders to loaders and dump trailers. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Designer face masks, DIY haircuts. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. Drivers who switched and saved averaged $718. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Reported average annual savings from switching auto by new customers surveyed who saved with Allstate in 2019. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. I know you think there's only 3 wireless providers. There's AT&T, there's Verizon, there's T-Mobile. But what if I told you H2O Wireless uses the exact same network as one of those carriers? Same towers, same coverage, but costs you half. You can get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 a month. Right now, you can save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O.
Looking to hire? Indeed will help you speed up the process. They have 135 skills tests to help you find the right candidates faster. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know. Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Shout out to the Hall of Famer, Hal McCoy, for giving us some time today. If you missed that interview, it'll be made available in the Justin Kinner Show podcast. Make sure you subscribe and download to that in your Apple, iTunes, and Google Play Store. You can take the show with you anywhere you go. Shout out to our sponsor, by the way, Orion Sports Medicine, the official sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. And, of course, we appreciate all of you listening and hanging out with us here today on a Thursday. Big one with the Reds tonight. The Reds and the Brewers, game one of a 4-game series. Reds 6 games back in the NL Central. And these big 4 games right now on the road are huge in regards to the Reds. Yes, taking momentum into the All-Star break, but also trying to cut to that deficit as they are 6 games back in the division. They are 4.5 back of the wild card. So they're closer, as I mentioned, in the wild card standings than they are within the division. But right now, I think that the Reds are just, I mean, they're on the outside looking in. I mean, you have the Dodgers and the Padres. The Dodgers have a 3.5 game lead on the Padres, but the Dodgers-Padres will both, in my opinion, take the 2 wildcard spots from the National League. And then you have the Giants potentially winning that division. And if the Giants don't win that division, that means the Dodgers surpass them and they won the division and the Giants are in the wild card. The Reds are 4.5 games back there. I just think that the 3 teams, that there will be 3 teams from the NL West, and it's going to be the Giants, the Dodgers, the Padres, 2 wildcard teams, and the division leader. That's usually what we see out of the Central. It's usually maybe the Cubs winning the division and the Cardinals, Brewers sneaking in. So right now it's all about the NL West, and it's everyone else fighting for themselves, just trying to get that one representative in. And that one representative could be the Cincinnati Reds, 45-41 their record, 23-20 at home. They got a record above 500. In fact, I mean, the Padres are 20-21 on the road. The Reds are 22-21. And I think 100 of those 21 losses are against, I think, the Padres and the Dodgers and the Giants combined. So they won the division. They won the series with the Dodgers. They've just been spanked by everyone else in that division.
Now, you said they don't have any more games versus the NL West the rest of the way?
Not on the West Coast.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say.
And I don't even think at all the rest of the way. I mean, I'm looking at this now with what's in front of me. They have a lot of games with the Mets left out of the, not the division you're asking about, but they have about 6 games with the Mets remaining. They have Minnesota. They have Cleveland still in a makeup game from earlier. You have Atlanta, Philly, more Milwaukee, you have Detroit. So no, they that's it. The Dodgers are it. They have Dodgers at Great American Ballpark. Remember when we said earlier that they should not have given Trevor Bauer the Cy Young Award? I was mad, and Kev really brought it to my attention. When the Dodgers and the Reds played, when would that have been? I'm going to have the schedule. And back in early April, it's the first month of the season. There was a 3-game series that the Reds had at L.A., and they presented the Cy Young Award to Trevor Bauer, and the Reds came out and said, we appreciate that the Dodgers waited for us to be in town to do it. And I never really thought anything of it, but I do remember, when you brought it up, I'm like, that's something silly to be mad at. And I'm like, actually, it's not silly. I'm always looking for something to be mad at. And you brought up a good point. When you win an MVP, you do it on your, if an MVP leaves, like, a team, whatever, you award it to him on his home floor. Same thing with the championship ring. You wait for that team to come to your home floor, and it's not as if the Reds and Dodgers don't play. They play.
Right.
So it's not like they had to force this. This isn't the only series of the season. They play the Reds in late September, but obviously right now, with everything going on with Trevor Bauer, Major League Baseball did extend his indefinite suspension as they look further into those allegations against him. Right move on Major League Baseball. It is unfortunate, though, because there are going to be situations that pop up where some of these are false accusations. And then Major League Baseball takes a month, maybe 2 months, maybe the rest of the season away from the reigning Cy Young winner. And we could find out he didn't do anything at all.
Right.
Then it looks bad on baseball. But you got to ask yourself, which do you look worse with?
Yeah.
Letting a guy who could be found guilty continue into play just because he's a superstar, or we took almost a full year away from a superstar over a guilty allegation. I know people want to rip baseball for this. I'm not one of them. I know that big picture, maybe it comes back that he's found innocent of everything and then that he was just punished for no reason. But until I hear a better way to handle this, I still think it would be irresponsible Major League Baseball to allow him to continue pitching through this, through the investigation. And then if you find out that everything was true, you just continue to let this guy represent your brand the rest of the way. It's a double-edged sword. I don't know if there's a wrong. I think that is the wrong way. It just sucks that the right way is also so it presents a lot of issues, because like I said, if he ends up being found innocent of everything, this is devastating for him.
Yeah.
But if he ends up being found guilty and Major League Baseball did not suspend him and the Dodgers let him keep pitching, that would be an even worse look. So I know people that like to bring up why it's wrong in baseball to do this. It's the worst of two evils, honestly. I mean, it sucks that you might take this guy's career away for a year, but you also don't want to be letting him out there if he's found guilty of this too.
Yeah, this is just like probably the worst nightmare for MLB to be dealing with. I mean, obviously years and years ago with the Kobe Bryant situation, that was like in the middle of the playoffs. And I just remember so much coverage about Kobe Bryant flying to Denver and then flying back to LA for, playoff games for the Lakers and everything like that. That's not the type of media coverage any league wants. And we have a situation going on in the NFL with Deshaun Watson. I've since everything started coming out about Deshaun, I really took a step back, and I said here on the air that I don't think he plays this year. I don't think you can, quote unquote, send him out there with this type of stuff hanging over not just his head, but the organization's head, his teammates, and the league itself. Is just a bad look. And I know what people are going to say and everything like that. Well, it's only alleged and everything like that. These are some pretty strong charges, and it's just a bad look in general. And everything going on with Bauer, like you said, it could be proven that he didn't do anything wrong, or it could be proven the other way, and charges could be brought. And you just don't want that happening. The Dodgers had to cancel so many things. They had to cancel, obviously, starts for him playing baseball games, and you paid him a lot of money to pitch for your team. But bobblehead night and all these things around Trevor Bauer and his personality that they had to cancel because of these allegations that are going on. Nobody wants to be put in these situations, but you got to trust the people that you hire from your PR departments and everything like that to give you advice about what you should do. And ultimately, even though it's only alleged right now, I think this is the right thing to do. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this going forward when allegations like this come up with athletes about the league just basically, for lack of a better word, shutting them down until there's some more clarity about the situation, because you don't want this hanging over the league's head. Like, the old adage about any press is good press. That
not
ain't
this
true.
Kind.
That
not
ain't
this
true,
kind.
Man.
Definitely not this kind. Something else I want to talk about. We transitioned from one negative light of baseball to a positive, well, not really positive light, but a less negative. Found this interesting. So the New York Mets ace Jacob deGrom says he's skipping the All-Star game. He's quoted as saying, "I've thought about it, and obviously being named to an All-Star game is a great honor, but I'm just going to take this time and spend it with my family and get healthy for the second half." The Mets ace said after he pitched 7 innings in a no decision Wednesday against the Brewers. And I don't have a problem with this because Jacob deGrom, again, he is honestly, before that injury slowed him down a bit and he's still pitching at a high level, his numbers are unlike anything we've seen from a pitcher in Major League Baseball with or without the sticky tack, right? It's pretty impressive what he's doing. And I think that pitchers you have to be a little bit more lenient with in regards to if they decide they want to play in an All-Star game or not. I know that managers around Major League Baseball, they always say that they're happy for their guys who make the All-Star because it is an honor. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I've always said is that I hope that All-Star honors ultimately just turn into that, honors, right, and we forget the game. The game itself is something that, like, if it's back in Cincinnati, it was such a special thing when it was here in Cincinnati years ago. And now, in the atmosphere for the home run derby and everything else, it was just a festive week. It was fun. But you got to ask, it's a fun week for who? The fans and for Major League Baseball as a whole. Right. But fans, you got to ask yourself, do you want to watch an All-Star game with all the best players in the league playing together for one exhibition game? Or do you want to watch a Major League Baseball playoffs that is very reflective of what we're seeing in the NBA playoffs. No all-stars. All the stars are hurt. No Kevin Durant, no LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson. Look at all the players that are hurt. Now, I'm not saying that an all-star game is going to lead to a bunch of guys getting hurt, but this is why you do see guys kind of skeptical about wanting to go pitch in an all-star game, to play in an all-star game. When I heard DeGrom said this, I had no issue with it. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He's been battling injuries in the first half. If he stays healthy, there's talks of not only him winning the Cy Young, but winning the MVP as well. Yeah. That doesn't happen. That's what the Cy Young is there for. It's kind of like they need to make an award in football where the quarterback can win the quarterback award every year, and then the MVP could be for the most deserving player. Baseball, that's not the case. But you heard early on, MVP, Cy Young, all at the same time, right? So I got it. But I did find this interesting that Houston Astros, Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve both plan to skip the All-Star game. Now, both players were selected to the American League as reserves, all right, to the league, to the squad as reserves. But the first place Astros will still be represented in the game by outfielder Michael Brantley, so there will be at least a Houston Astro on the roster. Correa, he is missing it due to, his wife being pregnant with the couple's first child that's due in November.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Thank you. I'm with you. Because when I heard, his wife's pregnant, of course he wants to be November. November! I don't want to look. Yes, there can always be health complications and something like that. But you want to live. Then you better not play anybody. Are you saying that you only care about your wife having a baby in November in the midweek of July, but the third week in July? Well, I hope she didn't have the baby now. I think I shouldn't say that's messed up. That's bad phrasing when you're talking about a guy that's putting his wife first. So there's the first problem I have. The second problem, and we touched on this with Hal McCoy, Jose Altuve says that it's a tough decision on why he wanted to back out. But he goes on to say that he's putting his team first, that he needs these 4 days and that he is putting his team first. Now, we do the sympathy meter on this show, but what I would love to do is a BS meter on this show. So you mean to tell me that the Reds, Castellanos and Jesse Winker, that they're saying screw you to their teammates and to their fans and to everyone by participating in this All-Star game? Like he's trying to, the holier than thou complex of, I need these 4 days, which maybe you do, but I'm putting my team first. Okay, Jose Altuve. Okay. Good for you. Look at you. Stand-up guy. Putting your team first. Was that the banging of the trash can in the background? Well played, sir. Well played. I have a problem with both of these. I think both of these guys are tired of being booed. I think they need a mental break, which, by the way, that is a real thing. I have no problem if that's what this is, and I think that is what it is. But sometimes the lie makes people less sympathetic towards you. They were going to get ripped if they said, look, we just need a mental off week with everything we've had to endure. They're still not going to feel bad for you because you're getting what you deserve for being a part of that cheating scandal with the Astros. I bet it is weighing on them. I said last year, the only team that was happy about the COVID-stricken season of no fans, the Houston Astros. They were the only ones that were happy, which, they got protected last year. They didn't get booed last year because there was no fans. This year, it's been unbearable for them. And I get it. But that's your fault. So this whole, it's July. My wife's not having a baby till Thanksgiving. Excuse of I'm going to skip the All-Star game because my pregnant wife. Oh, that makes sense. Who's not going to have a baby till Thanksgiving? What? So you still have August, September, October. Come on. And then Altuve, this holier than thou complex. Oh man, I'm putting my teammates first. I love my team. I love my teammates. Stop it with that. I'm surprised we don't see more of this, but I think we can sift through the BS of all this. These guys are just tired of being booed. I think that they're going to be uncomfortable. Remember, they're not just a bad look for them to the fans. They're viewed at differently from everyone around Major League Baseball. They're uncomfortable. They don't want to be around the rest of the American League guys.
Right.
They don't want to be around anyone because they like being around their guys and their dugout, their clubhouse, because, well, we're all in this together. We screwed up together. We got to fight with this together. But you don't have that same feeling when you're walking into that American League clubhouse. You might have Altuve or, you might have Correa, but it's not the same thing when you...
Was it the D-Rays? Was it the Rays that did bang into the cans? Well, it happened all season. But the one where he hit the home run and did the whole "don't take off my."
Oh yeah, I mean there was that. I mean, yeah, because he said that Altuve. Look, we've all dealt with a very jealous girl in our lives at some point in time, right? Like he just said that his wife would not be happy if he was shirtless on national television, because that's her body, and then no one should see that except her. Give me a break,
man. This is so foul. Like, obviously, I understand with DeGrom, like, he's coming off an injury, and I understand it for a lot of pitchers and everything like that.
Like DeGrom, I'm cool with. That don't bother me.
Like, their arms. You're trying to save yourself for the rest of the season. The goal is to win a World Series championship, but for like everyday players, if we start seeing this from Major League Baseball, I would definitely have a problem with it. You don't see this in the NBA. 9 times out of 10, when a guy is selected as an all-star, he plays. He plays in the all-star game unless he's hurt. Or unless you are been in the league 16 years, where LeBron, he played the first half of this most recent all-star game, did not play the second half. So, I mean, he's earned that right to do that. In the NFL, I mean, goodness, it's a gladiator sport in the NFL. Who, like, most guys accept it like, hey, man, it's an honor to be a Pro Bowler, but I'm not going to play. So that's why Andy Dalton has like 5,
the
alternates and everything like that. And that's no knock on Andy Dalton. I mean, I'm sure he's happy to be out there, and you should be happy to be out there. But for baseball, where you're giving back to the fans, especially in the year that the fans have been through, they haven't been able to see their favorite players. They haven't been able to see, out of town players come to their ballpark and play. This is something big for the fans. This is something, and it's a great TV product as well, to see that many different all-star level players on the field at the same time. I not that I understand or I forgive them for this, but I get where they're coming from. Like, they don't want to deal with it, so they're going to use this out. I worry that this will be something going forward from other guys to say, yeah, you know what? They didn't play last year. Man, I'm going to go take a little 3-day vacation to Aruba real quick with me and the wife and kids and everything like that. Or I'm going to have a staycation and just do absolutely nothing. I do think a lot of this stuff that players do owe to the fans, show their gratitude and go out there and put on a good performance, from not only from the home run derby and everything like that, but just go out there and wave to the fans. Even if you decide not to play, like, all right, I can't play. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. Let's get an alternate, not playing tonight due to fatigue. Blah, blah, blah. Kevin Washington, you tip your cap to the fans. You appreciate your fans. And that's that. You can still do that. But like you said, they're scared of the booing. They're scared of seeing those other guys in that locker room face to face of like, hey, man, it's going to be jokes. And it might turn from jokes to something physical.
That's on you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you know where I'm at with it. And I know you're on the other side with it. Like, they should be getting hit with the ball, man. They should have been hit with the ball. They should have took those hits with the ball early in the season, and it would have been over with. But no, baseball continued to protect these dudes and like, hey, if you hit them with the ball, you're going to be in trouble even more than they were. They cheated, man. They cheated big time. They weren't cheating with like, oh, man, I'm licking my fingers. I got, some lotion on my hands. Like, they were blatantly out here taping stuff, banging on trash cans, and they still haven't faced a penalty for it. That is bogus.
All right, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Scott Campbell on YouTube says Jose Altuve doesn't want to encounter fans cosplaying as Oscar the Grouch.
Quick question. If this was in Houston, does he play?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe not, because, like, again, like, you got to understand how uncomfortable it is for these guys to go into this clubhouse with all these other players who, I mean, this shows right there that it's not just the fans who are mad at these guys. Like, the players around Major League Baseball, you could see it by how the teams pitch at these guys from time to time, even though they've been protected. You could just tell, the animosity, the how toxic it can be when they're on the road. And the one thing that Altuve and these guys have for them is they know when they go on the road and they don't have their fans to cheer for them, they're going into a hostile environment.
Right.
But the one thing that they have for them is that they have their manager, they have their coaches, they have their teammates. They're a team on the road, knowing they're going to face a lot of backlash, but they still can fall on one another to get through it. You can't do that at the All-Star game. Who are you going to buddy up with? Correa's taking care of his 4-month pregnant wife. who could pop it any day now. I mean, who are you going to count on if you're Altuve? That should be the thing right there. Laura Dell says it's even worse. Shout out to Laura, by the way. Laura says it's even worse because the All-Star game means something for the playoffs, which should never have happened in the first place. Major League Baseball and their infinite wisdom was trying to find ways to put a little something on the line in that All-Star game and making them compete for something, right? And that's kind of what this was. But yeah, I don't know. There's no just competitive drive from these guys right now who I just think are mentally tired, and it's self-inflicted wounds at the end of the day. Keith Tolliver says, with the way baseball schedules, only way for some fans to see some of these players up close, unfortunately. And I love when they say, and I love when people say, well, no offense, but usually when you say no offense, but no matter what they say after is going to be offensive, or you'll like this, but there's whatever.
A wise man once said.
They're killing you on the board. But it is what it is. When Jose Altuve talks about how unfortunate it is because he knows it's unfortunate for the fans that he appreciates them voting him there, but he won't be able to fulfill his responsibilities. Well, that is your responsibility. Be out there. I'm not a fan of it. I will say this: I'm not defending these guys in this. I hate that the All-Star game is an actual exhibition game in the middle of a season. I hate that the NBA All-Star game, and it's always been that way. People, it's funny when you talk about serious issues in life, we always get tired of people saying, well, that's how it's always been. But yet in this situation, we love to live and die on that hill of, well, it's always been that way. I think it's I think the Pro Bowl is the absolute worst game in the history of the world.
When's the last time you watched one?
I can't tell you. I'm not going to lie. I really don't know.
I think middle school for me.
But yet when my guys don't get Pro Bowl honors, I get upset. And I'm like, why am I upset about a game that I don't even watch? Who cares? Because it's still an honor. You're being recognized as one of the top players at your position that year, even if Andy Dalton did get a few. So with that, it's one of those where I think that the best thing that the NFL does with the Pro Bowl is that it's a postseason thing. Well, it technically is it's in the middle of the postseason. I think that the NBA All-Star game, and to your point, you said, hey, it's no one will play in it.
Right.
I don't think an NBA All-Star game should be an actual game in the middle of a season where we're LeBron getting hurt away or KD. It's going to take a major superstar to have a torn ACL in the All-Star game before they reconsider this. And I hate when sports does that. We know that it's a risk, but until the outcome actually presents itself, we're not going to change anything.
Right.
Until a little girl gets blasted in the face with a baseball, we're not going to put a net up. We have to watch a little girl get blasted with the baseball in the face before we decide to put a net up in baseball, even though we knew the dangers of that. Sports always waits until something bad happens before we want to, put an end to it. We're going to give hard glass bottles to drunk people and hope that they don't throw it on the field. Oh, thanks a lot, Cleveland. Now we can't have glass bottles at games, Cleveland. Nice job, Browns fans. So what I mean? We wait until something bad happens before we take that away. Why not be proactive on something? Get rid of the All-Star game itself or move it to after the season. And if no one plays in it, then guess what? Maybe there's just not that much value there to begin with. Baseball, you're finding other ways to screw up your sport. Is it really going to screw it up that much? It's a big money thing for them, and I get it, and that's why it'll always happen. I don't like the reasons why Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa are doing it is what I'm not a fan of. But you know what? If some big stars came together, I wish the NBA would do it. Say, no, we're not playing.
I think the NBA players love it, though. I think they love it. I think they love All-Star Weekend in a normal setting. You go to your blah, blah city or whatever. You go to, I don't know, Miami, you go to Atlanta in a normal year, and you make that city the it city for the weekend. And you got all the celebs involved. You got your celebrity game on Friday. You got your rookie game on Friday night. Then you got NBA All-Star Slam Jam, whatever, on Saturday night. Then the actual game on Sunday. I think all the players love it. I think the NBA players eat it up, and I think it's still an honor for them. And the NFL with the Pro Bowl, I think they look at it as a hassle, and then I believe once they moved it to Orlando and not in Hawaii, more guys started backing out man, I can go to Orlando whenever I want to. Like, I can drive to Orlando. I play for the Dolphins. Like, they don't care about it anymore. And then on top of that, with it being such a physical sport, and then with hockey, I think hockey does it pretty cool too. You know, you got the U.S. versus the world type of thing and everything like that. I know we don't talk a ton of hockey, and I don't watch a ton of hockey, but I think that's a cool aspect to keep people intrigued. And I know the ratings and their media partners are super happy with it. I just don't watch the Pro Bowl at all. Like, never. I've watched the NHL All-Star Game more than I've watched the Pro Bowl over the last 10 years. I refuse to watch the Pro Bowl, and I also don't watch NFL preseason either. So,
well, I will, and there's more on the line in preseason.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Than an All-Star game. There's
True.
jobs on
Very
the line,
true,
right?
very true.
Last point on this, and we'll move on. Laura Dell says they should feel uncomfortable talking about Altuve and Correa. They should feel uncomfortable. It's part of the consequences of their idiotic, selfish, cheating actions. Laura coming in with the heat. I like it. High and inside. Scott Campbell says there are players who have good second half of the Major League Baseball season who are never honored with an All-Star appearance. That's a good point, Scott, because here's the other problem I have with this, and I've made this point for years. Jesse Winker, since the beginning of June, we just talked about that with Hal McCoy, since the beginning of June when he had that 3-home run game against the Cardinals, which honestly like kind of cemented the All-Star run. You know that Jesse Winker is actually not playing very good baseball over the last month. Mm-hmm. We keep doing this thing with Winker. We're like, man, he's one of the best players. He's hit 200. I mean, still better than Suarez, but I mean, he's hit 200 for almost a month now since that Cardinals series, the beginning of the month. 200. So let's say that Jesse Winker goes on to have a very poor second half of the season. You know what? We'll always look back at Winker and say, man, Jesse Winker had a great 2021 season. He was a starting outfielder for the National League, and he might finish the season hitting 225, Kev. And you'll look back years from now and say, how did Jesse Winker finish that season hitting 225, but yet was a starting outfielder for the National League? Because we're giving out a season's honor based on 2 months of work. If you kick ass for April and May, you're going to start in the All-Star game in July. All right. And then it's ridiculous. It just drives me up the wall that you give an honor like an All-Star honor. And then like the problem I have is like at Hall of Fame, man, he's a 12-time All-Star. Okay, for all I know, for 12 seasons, he played really good 2 months of baseball to start things off and then was poor the rest of the way. So I think we need to stop doing that, but it won't because, well, we've always done it that way, and cash makes the world go round.
Facts.
More of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Paid for by government.com.
Have you heard? A recent stash of 1889 Morgan silver dollar coins has been found. These gorgeous 1889p silver dollar coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck. Only a limited quantity of these Morgan silver dollar coins are available. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone interested in silver coins. Just call government at 1-800-973-3098 and you are guaranteed a mint condition 1889p Morgan silver dollar struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. But with limited quantity, you must call now. These 1889p silver coins are still in uncirculated condition. That is 132 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3098. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $25 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3098 now to secure your 1889p Morgan silver dollars before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3098.
Tom Bodette here, still leaving the light on for the long-haul trucker. While we were locked down at home, you were out there day and night bringing us what we needed to make it through. And Motel 6 is here to help you make it through. Want to trade a loose load strap and a sore back for a good night's sleep? Yes, you do. Motel 6 has a place just down the road with a clean, comfortable room and a great low rate. You'll know it when you see it. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/auto-navigator.
I need some backup. I got to get these trucks to Tuscaloosa by Tuesday.
Trevor's Trucking needs 3 18-wheeler drivers with commercial licenses ASAP, or his company will stall.
If we don't move the rigs before this weekend, we're going to be in trouble.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Drive-by birthday parties, virtual weddings. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get Allstate's quality insurance at an affordable rate. When you bundle your home and auto, you'll save up to 25%. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company, and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
At CDW, we get that a cyborg assistant won't make your employees more productive from home.
Please, call me Brian. I can vacuum your dog.
That's great. But at CDW, we can design a productivity solution with Lenovo devices that offer fast, reliable connectivity to help your people manage their workloads the right way.
Can I have a human hug?
No. For technology that moves you forward, trust Lenovo and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo client.
Want to hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Hi, Pete Kasuji here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumbers, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato and pepper plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, ground cover, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the Green Revolution and come out to see us at 1309 Brant Pike, where we're open 7 days.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Don't overpay for glasses. Get 2 pairs and a free exam for just $69.95. That's not just a better deal. It's America's best. Book your exam online today.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, we opened up hour number 3 with a couple of random sports stories at hand. I want to start with this one I wanted to touch on the other day, Kev, and we just didn't have time to get to it. LeBron James' son, Bronny, okay, they played in some invitational in Akron, and the court is named after LeBron James. And
his own high school.
In his old high school, okay? And it was interesting. So LeBron is in attendance watching his son play. LeBron got ripped for this, and I have no clue why. I do know why. It's LeBron. But LeBron does something here that every one of you parents out there wish you had the power and authority to do. And I'll never understand when we get mad at people for doing things that you know damn well you would do if you were in that position. When I heard this story at first, I'm like, okay, he's throwing his weight around. This is kind of ridiculous. But I actually really respect what LeBron did here. LeBron James is quoted as saying that he regrets naming his son after him. He said that put an unfair expectation on him. He already has an unfair expectation on him being LeBron's son to be the next LeBron. We've seen this in Michael Jordan's situation. In fact, Michael Jordan's kids, they played D1 college basketball. They weren't bad.
Scrubs!
But they weren't MJ.
They're losers. Look like they're not taking off from the free throw line.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like Michael Jordan's kids were not bad, but they weren't Michael Jordan. But their names weren't Michael Jordan. Imagine if he had named one of his kids Michael Jordan
Jr.
The only other Michael Jordan I know is the Buckeye that's on the worst team in football, the Cincinnati Bengals. So Air Jordan. But so Bronny's AAU team was playing in a tournament at James Former High School, as we talked about. And according to the announcers for the web broadcast, the PA announcer suggested that Bronny benefited from a ref's call because of who his father is. So to set the stage real quick, in the middle of the game, Bronny got a foul called against him, but he hit the ground hard. But the PA guy, and by the way, I watched highlights of this game. I don't know if there's set rules for PA guys, but you should not be doing the play-by-play. You need to shut the hell up. And someone makes a shot, you say the name of the guy who called the shot. This idiot was literally, Kev, talking during the game. I can't stand that. I don't know. For one, it's different. It's one of those things where, okay, do I not like it because it's different, or do I not like it just because it's wrong? And what you end up doing is you take attention away. You're a distraction. So
can I jump in there real quick?
Yes.
I agree with you 100%. And the thing about it is, this ain't Rucker Park. This ain't it is AAU. This ain't the N1 mixtape tour. So, this is an actual AAU tournament. Mm-hmm. So, this is supposed to be taken seriously. So, I have a big problem with that one as well. Go ahead.
So, no, real quick. So, with that being said, the play-by-play announcer explained that LeBron took offense to the PA announcer saying that Bronny is going to get those calls in James' gym. Now, it got me to thinking, wait, so the play-by-play announcer said that that's what the PA announcer said. So is that he set it off to the side and LeBron heard it and called him out? No, he had the mic in his hand and said that. Bronny James getting that call in his dad's house. Like, no, wait, what? So LeBron was furious.
Yeah.
In the middle of the game, like there's, cops weren't coming to break anything up, that he hasn't, the police escort around him or whatever. But LeBron is visibly upset and going after the PA announcer. The PA announcer is throwing his in the air. He's trying to, stand up for himself, which I have zero. I wish we would have done the sympathy meter game for him because I have zero. And of course, all the social media reaction. There's LeBron throwing his weight around. Folks, this isn't LeBron the Laker. This isn't LeBron the social advocate. This is LeBron the dad. And he's doing what I would hope you would do, or I would do, or anyone would do if your son's being blatantly called out publicly as a kid. This isn't even in college. Even in college, I'd still complain about this, but in high school, this is an AAU tournament. So he got a foul, and he goes on to say that, insinuating that he got that call because of who his dad is. Why is the PA announcer even saying, you say the name of the guy who hit the bucket, you say the name of the person who got the foul, you say the name of the substitutions, you call out the starting lineups, you name the officials, and you stop right there. You maybe read off, hey, license plate number, blah, 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 your lights are on. After that, shut the hell up. Why are you talking about LeBron's kid? Like, this is the thing, we get mad at celebrities, we get mad at big-name superstars, but they can't even go watch their kid's game without having to deal with this kind of BS stuff. Like, people try so hard to connect and get close and, try to be funny. That PA guy thought he was going to look over at LeBron and LeBron be like, yeah. No. Yeah. You're a moron. I have zero sympathy for that dude. And I do have a lot of sympathy for LeBron, who is LeBron the dad, not LeBron the Miami Heat player, not LeBron the Cav, not LeBron the Laker, not LeBron the social advocate, or whatever it is. Because there's things he does that, it gets people's attention one way or another, right or wrong, right? Like, he's a polarizing figure. But this was LeBron the dad, and regardless of what your thoughts are on him as a person, for those of you listening, LeBron the dad is who we should all aspire to be. He's at his kid's game. He's supportive of his son. He's back at his old stomping grounds where he's given so much money back to. He gives back to his community. He gives back to his old school. Like, we need to stop taking everything that LeBron James does. It's, LeBron James could, and you can save babies from a burning building, and they'd be like, oh, well, how convenient LeBron there. He's just doing it for attention. Like, that's how you people are. Not everything has to be a let's crap on LeBron thing. I like that he did that. When I first read the headline, I was like, oh, geez, what's LeBron doing now? Why are you stopping to get, why you got to make it about you? No, I love the footage, Kev, of him in the pregame, him not just coaching his son. He has the guys over there. How I would imagine being a kid growing up and you're playing on Bronny's team.
Yeah.
And there's LeBron over there, not just coaching his son, but coaching you and coaching. I mean, I would lose my mind. I'm a 30-year-old. I'm telling you, I would lose my mind. So I give credit to him, man. Like, he's out there. Like, he's LeBron. He should be hiding. Remember Michael Jordan was hiding in hotel rooms because, he couldn't handle it? Not Michael or not LeBron. He's out there fighting PA announcers at high school games. So there you go. But yeah.
Yeah. Real quick on LeBron, like in Akron. So I got a couple friends that are from Akron. Like, when he's in Akron back home, like, he's literally at home. Like, people don't bother him when he's back home in Akron and everything like that. He can, do what he wants to do. And, that's
how when I go home, everyone leaves me alone. They just like Kenner be Kenner. They don't mob him on the streets. No.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty cool. Citizens of Akron to basically let LeBron be LeBron, and he doesn't have to deal with the hype that he has to deal with when he's like in Cleveland or Miami or, whatever NBA team he's playing for. He's just LeBron when he's back home. I think that's pretty cool. Another thing for that announcer, man, he's lucky that LeBron was the one that got up and got upset. He's lucky Savannah didn't get up and get upset. Like, look, man, I've been to a ton of AAU basketball and Pop Warner football. You think the fathers get mad?
No, it's the fathers who are holding the moms back.
Exactly. The moms do not play.
That's no joke.
I'll tell you a story off air because that's where it's going to have to be about a mom that I'm very cool with who went bananas on a referee before, man. But yeah, man, this was uncalled for from the PA announcer. He thought it was going to be funny to get a joke off and everything like that. Like I said before, this isn't the And One mixtape tour. This isn't Rucker Park. Like, if this is Rucker Park, you kind of like expect those type of things and everything like that. But this is an AAU game. And not only that, it's an AAU game that basically LeBron and, his team is paying for and everything like that. You got, I know up there Gabe Cupps, the point guard for Centerville, his AAU team was up there, and a couple of his teammates played against Bronny and everything like that. And LeBron was there. And LeBron,
that dude loves checking the mail, by the way. Offers every damn day. Cupps is just, I mean, he's collecting offers like Pokemon cards. Centerville has a couple kick-ass kids, man. Like not just on the football team, the basketball. Between Cupps, and House and some of those guys, they are. Anyways, every time I check Twitter, got another offer here, got another offer there. Yeah, another one. But
like you said, man, it's cool for not only Bronny's teammates to have LeBron there and him be a figure in their life, but LeBron is cool with all these AAU kids. He's taking pictures after the game, before games and everything like that. It's a cool thing to be a part of. And for this PA announcer to want to get his 10 minutes of fame by trying to get a funny off and thinking it wasn't going to affect anybody, you're sorely mistaken. And also, I do feel bad for Bronny, man. Like the amount of pressure that's on this kid. He's 16 years old, man, and people expect him to be out here just dominating. Like he's still 16. He's still growing into his body. He's still learning the game of basketball. That's what I always talk about, like the ability to grow and the ability to learn the game. Like people are already like, oh man, if Bronny don't make it to the NBA, he's a failure. Like the amount of pressure on this kid, like just to play basketball, and who knows if he really wants to play in the NBA. Like people assume that's what he wants to do. Maybe he just likes playing basketball. Maybe he wants to be an architect. Maybe he wants to be a teacher. We don't know that, but people just assume like, well, your dad's LeBron James. You're a big guy. You should play basketball too. Like,
but even if he wants to be a basketball player, it doesn't make him a failure if he doesn't get there. Like, there's a ton of players at UD, Wright State, and others that want to be basketball players that when they're 4 years or 5 years or 8 years in college are done, that's it for them.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that they failed. That means you play Division I basketball. Right. If Bronny gets to, I don't care if he plays at OU. I don't care if he plays at UD, Wright State, Ohio State, Duke, wherever.
Buckeyes.
If after no kidding. If after his college career is over and the G League doesn't work out or whatever, that doesn't make him a failure. But unfortunately, he will always be. And let's say he makes it to the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just, Like, for instance, is Kostas Antetokounmpo, who the Lakers released, former Flyer, is he a failure?
No, he made it.
He made it. Yeah.
And he got a ring.
If Obi Toppin doesn't get any better moving forward and just hops from team to team and never... He didn't fail. He got drafted in the top 10. He averaged points per game.
Right.
I haven't averaged points per game in the NBA. Nobody fails. We have this weird thing where we like to say, he's a failure. If Obi Toppin becomes a failure in the NBA, what does that make me?
Right.
All right. I mean, that's the thing. People,
it's twofold. It's hey man, the game of life, and then the game of basketball. Like, I think that media people can say, like, all right, in the game of life, obviously you won. You made it to a place where very few people make it to, being a professional athlete. But then you can view it in the aspect of like, all right, man, you were a top blah, blah, blah pick and you flamed out in 3 years. Like, I think those are justified. But when you're talking about a 16-year-old kid still trying to figure the game of basketball out and just calling him a bust and things of that nature and calling, he's only getting that call because of his dad and everything like that, that's just too far from my taste, man. So, I wish all these kids that play basketball the best of luck and, they get to maximize their talents. But for Bronny, he is under the amount of pressure that I don't think anybody's ever seen before as a high school kid. I mean, even his younger brother isn't dealing with the same pressure because his name is Bryce, not LeBron James Jr.
Yeah, I mean, you could even argue, like, so Kobe Bryant's daughter, unfortunately, Gigi, she was in a much brighter spotlight because she was really, really good. Like, she was like one of the best girls in her class. Like that was gonna be one of those where she was almost guaranteed to live up to that hype. LeBron's son is not that good. He's good,
right?
But he's not like I don't know. I'm curious to see. He's gonna get a lot of offer. He's gonna get them Gabe Cup offers. Gabe Cup's getting him because of his pure talent. How many of the how many Bronny offers is he going to get from pure talent? The kid's talented. I'm not saying he's not talented. Look at him. He's a freak athlete. He looks like he's 25 years old. He's 16. I mean, my goodness, he looks older at his age than LeBron did at his age. That's what's crazy. So but again, LeBron, think of the millions he spends on his body. The one that LeBron didn't have, he didn't have stability as a kid. His story is, I know everyone wants to hate on LeBron, but don't forget his story of how he came up, because he came up with no guidance, really. I mean, he had good people in his life considering his circumstances. Right. But what Bronny has going for him, the reason he looks 25 as a 16-year-old and LeBron looked, 16 at 25 is because, Bronny is getting the same type of treatments that LeBron is getting as an NBA player. So, think about the advantages he has as a kid. He has all the opportunities. Hopefully, he could make it. But if he doesn't make it, folks need to stop saying that, he's a failure.
I think he'll be just fine. LeBron is scheduled to become a billionaire by the end of 2021.
Yeah, if he doesn't make it, I still think he'll do pretty good. But man, if he's a failure, holy smokes. You're listening to two failures right now. Justin Kinner and Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. The Hall of Famer Hal McCoy, he joined us earlier. We have that interview coming up when we come back. We discussed the huge series between the Reds and the Brewers. All right, so we have that coming up for you on the other side, plus a little over-under. Lots more of the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Coming up next, don't forget Reds baseball tonight. Big one between the Reds and Brewers. You can catch it right here on 1410 Wing AM. We'll be back in a moment. Huge.
It's the